You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Guess what? No, they got Barcelona and Chelsea on. Oh, well. Guess I'll watch it. By the way, real quick, I have found in my package, which costs entirely too much money, but the only reason I still pay for it is because I can get Fox Sports 2.
There you go.
Which gives me the Champions League matches I want, which is usually where Liverpool have been lately. I have found a channel called MTV Classics, which Ed,
yes,
hold on to your hat.
Okay.
Buckle your seatbelt.
It's buckled.
This MTV plays music videos.
You shut your mouth.
Sir, I couldn't make it up if I tried.
Damn.
I never thought I'd see the day where an MTV channel actually played music. We've watched a lot of that over the last 2 days here, actually. Like right now, as we speak, I have a show called I Want My 80s. And I'm looking at a very long, fluffy-haired John Bon Jovi and a Richie Zambora.
Oh my goodness!
Playing, I don't know which of their songs, but maybe, but it's because it's 80s Bon Jovi. They had a hip hop show on earlier, a 90s hip hop show. So Callie has been getting has been continuing her musical legacy lessons.
Nice.
By the way, I don't let Callie listen to other than some of her little songs that she likes. I don't let her listen to anything that's new. If it was made after 2004, Callie doesn't listen to it unless she specifically asked for it. The only real new thing she listens to is Taylor Swift. But she's a basic white girl, so what can I say?
It's true.
I mean, she's 5. She's just basic right now, but she's a little crazy, a little weird. So, yes, sir.
She'll go through that Avril Lavigne phase.
Oh no, we do listen to Avril Lavigne. She has 3 Avril songs on her Spotify playlist.
Nice.
Yep. She'll jam out pretty good. Oh, and the one I'm most proud of on her 53 song playlist is the Old Crow Medicine Show version of Wagon Wheel. Not that Darius Rucker shit that her mom tried to push on her. No, she likes the original.
Oh yeah.
When she said the words, "I like the real one," I was like, "You are so my child." Because those are my words and everything. I hate remakes of songs. I'm like, no, I just want to hear the original. I'm that music snob guy. I just want to hear the. You think Bob Dylan did it good? Did you ever hear Lead Belly do it?
Wait, so do you which version of Hurt do you like?
Obviously the 9 Inch Nails version.
Okay.
Obviously. Personal Jesus, we're obviously listening to Depeche Mode.
Oh, yes.
I mean, really. Now I will listen to a nice remake, but it better be good.
Yeah.
So, yes, when Kelly said, "I want to hear the real Wagon Wheel," I was like, "Oh, kid, love you."
Oh, only the realest of music here on the A Foreign Affair podcast, episode 201. We'll get so raw later. We're getting so real now. Welcome, everyone, to the pod. I am Edward Green, joined, as always, by McCall in Crime, Wes Bradshaw. Yep. Yes, that's all. All right.
I just want to say, hey, guys.
Oh, hey. We're off to a gangbuster start here. Kind of like Chelsea's start against Barcelona today. It will only get better from here. We will definitely be talking about that in our Champions League review that we're going to be doing later on in the pod. We'll also have a quick FA Cup preview. Some news and notes coming from some very naughty boys over on the other side of the pond. It was not a good week for some people in the world of soccer. We'll be telling about that, as well as the Watch For and So Raw. As always, the podcast is presented by NGSC Sports at NGSCsports.com. We never stop. So as we go on with our Premier League talk, we enter match day 30. Everybody has now played their 30 matches for the season. Let's start first with the ones we're not really going to talk about. Everton beats Brighton and Hove 2-0. Bong, an unfortunate own goal. Just Gaten Bong, insert your own wee joke here, I guess. Had an unfortunate own goal in the 60th minute, and then sank to Son, Sheng, whose middle name is going to be Shang by the end of this all. He got a goal in the 76th minute, much to Sam Allardyce's chagrin, obviously, but it gets Everton 3 points. Newcastle beats Southampton 3-0. A brace from little-known Newcastle player Kennedy, one of the ones still alive. Matt Ritchie also threw in a goal in the 57th minute to get Rafa Benitez a much-needed win at home and push Southampton further down towards relegation. Burnley goes on the road and, as everyone is doing lately, beats West Ham 3-0 at the Olympic Stadium. Chris Wood with a brace there, and believe me, we will have more to say about that match in news and notes. Leicester with a big win over West Brom. It started off poorly as Jose Solomon Rondon got it started early in the 8th minute and put Leicester City behind. But Vardy had his party in the 21st to tie it up. And then the second half, it was all Foxes all the time. Mahrez, Iheanacho, and Vicente Iborra with goals in there to give Leicester a big 4-1 win and push West Ham with 1 foot out the door back to the championship. Huddersfield and Swansea drew 0-0. Happened. Just trust us. Chelsea beats Crystal Palace 2-1. Thanks to a Willian goal as well as a Martin Kelly own goal. Patrick Van Aanholt got one back right near the end for a consolation goal, but Crystal Palace could not provide the ultimate comeback to get a point. Instead, they fall at Stamford Bridge. Arsenal beats Watford 3-0. Mustafi, Aubameyang, and Mkhitaryan on the score sheet, which further pushes our narrative. Arsenal's going to go undefeated. The rest of the way, they're going to finish 5th, and they're going to lose in the Europa final. It's happening, folks. Remember, you heard it here first.
And then, folks, when that happens, you can't fire Arsene Wenger.
You can't.
He has you back in the right direction, as he said he would.
Oh, it's going to happen, folks. You just know it. And then finally, on Monday Night Football on NBC Sports, it was Man City 2, Stoke 0 at the Bet365. David Silva with a brace there as City continues their march towards inevitability. So, Wes, let's head to the 2 matches, and really one of them we can talk a little bit about. The other one we'll talk, obviously, a lot more about. First one is...
I don't want to relive too much of this.
First one we'll talk about is the Sunday match. Bournemouth 1, Tottenham 4. And I'll tell you, for the first half hour, there was a lot of very happy journalists out there in England. I'm sure I could hear them. They were all saying, oh, this is good. Oh, Spurs look like crap. They're down 1-0 on the road. They've lost Harry Kane. Their season is falling apart. I can just reuse a column from last 2 years when I've been calling them out because they lack mental fortitude and they can't finish. And this will be great. I don't have to write a column this week. This will be grand. And then Tottenham scored 4 in a row and kind of put that to bed. Dele Alli with hand to ear put in the first one in the 35th minute. And then, as it has been for a lot of times this year, it became the Heung-min Son show. With the goals in the 62nd and 87th minute. He even picked up a new song from the very loud Tottenham Hotspur fan section there at the Vitality. I want to say, to whoever's putting the mics in the stadiums, good job of always pointing it directly towards the Spurs section. Because you make us seem very loud. Very, very loud in away days. Serge Aurier doing Serge things, picked up a yellow, had a foul throw in, and also scored a goal. So that is the Serge Aurier hat trick. He finished it off in the 91st minute. But Wes...
If only it had a red card.
Oh, if only. It would have been great. But then that's what he should have done. He should have gotten the second yellow for too much celebrating after the goal. That would have been perfect. So, Wes, obviously, two big things in this game. One, Tottenham bouncing back from their midweek disappointment against Juventus in the Champions League to get a big win on the road on the South Coast and at least temporarily move into third position on the table. And second, as news has come out today, Harry Kane, who did leave in about the 30-minute mark with an ankle injury, first an erroneous report came out he might be out for 2 months, almost till June at the start of the World Cup. Now it looks like it's going to be kind of like what happened to him last year. He'll miss about a month, it looks like. It looks like he's almost assuredly going to miss the Chelsea match, which is the next match in the Premier League for them after the upcoming FA Cup weekend and then international break. But he might not miss that much more. He might not miss a potential FA Cup semifinal. It looks like he'll be there for the run-in May as well. And obviously, if Spurs do make the FA Cup final, he looks like he'll be there as well. And it looks like he'll be pretty ready to go for a potential shot at World Cup 2018 with England over in Russia. So, Wes, not the worst news for Spurs. And with the way Heung-min Son and others have been stepping up, this is not the dire situation we've often thought about for Spurs last couple of years where, oh God, if Harry Kane goes down, they're done. I don't think that's the case anymore.
Even though Eric hasn't been great, give it the dire situation.
Aha, gotcha.
Wes is on his game that night. That's why he gets for sleeping until 1 o'clock. Yes, I went like complete teenager today and went to bed at 4:30 and got up at like 1:30.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, playing video games. I'm a winner.
Sweet.
Things are going to change. I can feel it. God, I'm hitting them today, folks. Okay. First and foremost, thank goodness on that diagnosis for Harry Kane because somebody has to fire England to third in their group.
There you go.
Somebody has to lead the line for, I'm sure, the travesty that's about to happen in Russia.
Oh, don't worry. He hasn't gotten excited yet, folks. Don't worry. In a month, he'll be super excited.
It's complete doom and gloom right now. Folks, remember this in May when tournament. And that's a good thing for Spurs, too. Like you said, some big matches potentially on the docket for them in May where, they will most likely survive okay without Harry Kane for a small time. But wouldn't you just much rather have him?
Oh, of course.
I mean, that's the thing. Wouldn't you just much rather have the guy when you're playing the FA Cup semifinal or potentially the FA Cup final or trying to make sure you submit that top four on the way in? So, that is very good news for Spurs. And yes, even for England fans, it is good news because God, our second striking option, who literally Troy Deeney right now.
Wouldn't it be Rashford?
Oh, God. I don't want to think about that either.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that. Hey, we can always put Rooney back. What's up? So for Spurs, that is big news. That he maybe not going to miss as much time as initially thought. I know that really pisses off the English writers because, as you said, that does mean they might have to write original stories before the year's over about Spurs. But, I mean, as far as this game goes, that does show a lot of mental fortitude from Spurs. First of all, you're 1-0 down, lose your best player. You've just come off a really, really depressing loss over the week. And, there are a lot of times in the past we've seen Spurs just kind of pack it up and be like, well, fuck it. We'll try again next week. Spurs didn't do that. Spurs instead turned on the afterburners, put 4 goals by Bournemouth, held them out the rest of the match. Heung-min Son, look at that. I finally got his name.
Nice.
That's how good he's been. Heung-min Son leaving the line is not a bad thing. I don't think he's a natural out-and-out number 9 like Harry Kane is. But, the guy has a knack for I believe has he tied or surpassed already what he did last year over the entire season?
I think so, yeah.
So, he's having a great year. You still have Eriksen. Dele Alli has not been the Dele Alli of a year. Still a threat, especially when he can get in the box. That's when he's at his best. but Dele Alli can put goals on the board. You still have Llorente, who, I mean,
Sure.
well, the thing is, I would feel worse. There are a lot of guys
True.
who feel worse about having the Llorente leading behind.
That is very true.
So, Spurs still looking a good way now. Coming up, as you said, I believe they have an FA Cup quarterfinal. Who's it against?
It is at Swansea.
Swansea, that's right. So Swansea's a match they should be able to win in the FA Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I would expect them to. Now, after that, as you said, is it an international break?
Yep, it'll be Swansea, international break, Chelsea.
Okay, so at that point, that could be scary because Chelsea are probably going to be on the new manager. Look, I'm at my snarky asshole test tonight.
Oof.
We'll see, because a lot of people said, well, if you go out to Barcelona in pathetic fashion, that might be it. Well, they went out to Barcelona in pretty pathetic fashion. We'll talk about it a little later. But Chelsea is still Chelsea. It's still a London rivalry. And, the thing with Chelsea is you never know what you're going to get from them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Chelsea have turned into this real Jekyll and Hyde team where they can look, they can look like shit, and then all of a sudden they'll just lock you down for 90 minutes and steal a goal from you. So, for Tottenham and not having Harry Kane, that's going to be probably their biggest test during this time without Harry Kane. But, I mean, that said, Spurs in a good spot with Liverpool's loss and Spurs win. They do jump to third place. Now, they still have, out of the top teams, is Chelsea their last one?
It's Chelsea and then home for Man City, and that's it.
Okay, so, all right, so City's still there. Now, City pretty much have the title done and done.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, something we've seen from City and from what Pep Guardiola has said, this is a City team that doesn't really relax.
Yeah.
So they're going to be ready for Tottenham and for Chelsea or City. It'll be interesting to see where City is in the Champions League when that match comes up as well.
Mm-hmm.
So still two stern tests for Tottenham to go this season. But I mean, if they hold serve, they'll finish third right now. Good and a chance to finish second. Based on whatever United does. So we feel pretty comfortable with our top now, but that can all still change. Once again, let's see what Chelsea ends up doing, because whoever's finishing out of it's because Arsenal's coming too. So.
Yeah. As we mentioned, their next home game will be against Manchester City. They have to go to Chelsea after the international break. Then they have to go to Stoke. Then it's home for City. And then the run-in with the Final Four will be at Brighton and Hove, home for Watford, at West Brom, and home for Leicester. There also is a home game against Newcastle that will have to be made up from the FA Cup from this weekend. So it's not the hardest of run-ins. And honestly, if they can somehow get a victory against Chelsea, that puts them, I believe, if I look real quick, I think that's 8 points. That would be separating the two teams. Yes, it would be 8 points separating those two teams. And at that point, you never know what can happen. But with 7 matches to play, 8 points up on 5th, you start feeling pretty good about top 4 finish. And then it's just Man City that you kind of have to get past. And as long as you take care of business the rest of the way, this is an easy top 4 team if you can get that big win at Stamford Bridge, where they haven't won in a very long time, but we will see if they can do it.
Well, and also one thing with Tottenham, and not to bring up the bad memory, but Tottenham have not been great finishers the last few years.
They finished really well last year. There was the loss where they air quotes bottled it against West Ham, which then they followed up. I believe they beat Leicester like 5-1, and they beat Hull 6-0 or something to end the season. So that was really the only sort of misfire last year when they
right, and it was an improvement over. It was an improvement over the prior.
Yes,
and like you said, now also with if they're going to take a shot at the FA Cup, but being out of Europe. being out of Europe, still playing on two fronts for a team like Tottenham shouldn't be that big of an issue.
And we're late in the FA Cup. If they can,
Exactly.
if they get past Swansea,
Only a couple more matches, right?
Yeah, if you get past Swansea this weekend, the replays are done. The semifinals and finals have to be done in one day. So
exactly.
I think at that point, you get past Chelsea, you get past City, you probably only need to maybe win one more game to clinch top 4 in the league.
Exactly.
Go after the FA Cup, try to win it. It'll be big. So we'll see where Tottenham ends up and continue to monitor Harry Kane to see how fast he can return to the starting.
We will try to do a week.
Yes.
Yes.
With our good contacts we have. All right, Wes, we have to do it. Our final match in the Premier League we're going to talk about. Manchester United 2, Liverpool 1. Don't worry, fans. Wes will get to laugh at United later on in the program. But unfortunately, thanks to some Route 1 good old United-style football, I guess, Marcus Rashford, remember him? He put 2 past Liverpool's defensive line in the 14th and 24th minute to get United off to the races. An Eric Bailly own goal in the 66th minute got Liverpool back in the game, but it wasn't quite enough. I don't know that United so much parked the bus as they maybe just kind of held it in neutral for a while. They at least sort of tried, maybe kind of a little bit. But unfortunately,
I will have my rebuttal moment.
That's fine. I didn't say they came all out and attacked or anything. Let's not get crazy here. But certainly a very big victory for United to keep them in second place in the league, but distance between them and Liverpool, who are gaining a lot of ground on them very quickly, and makes Liverpool's position in the top 4 slightly precarious. Obviously, if they win out, take care of business, they're going to be in the Champions League again next year, and still have a lot to play for this season. So a minor setback on the road against a bitter rival for Jurgen Klopp's men.
Oh, man. Liverpool basically got punished for about 10 minutes of ineptitude in this match. Give United credit in the fact that I think everybody figured Mourinho was going to sit back and park the bus early. United came out to play early. No Pogba. Who else was out? Oh, there was somebody else out.
It wasn't Sanchez. It was
Pogba was the main one. That's all that matters.
Martial.
No Pogba, no Martial. Saw the introduction of Rashford, who I hate to say, Marcus Rashford looks like Liverpool's next great nemesis. He's already scored some goals against Liverpool. Does not make me happy. But he was somewhat forced into playing because, of course, Mourinho doesn't like to play youngsters. Pointed his record of saying that he develops more great young players than anyone ever.
He loves to contradict himself. It's very fun.
Yeah, totally. But he won't really play them when he wants to. But he's forced into it. Has to play Rashford. Dejan Lovren, who, oh my gosh,
it's one of those weeks.
This is Dejan Lovren in a nutshell. Since Virgil van Dijk has come, Lovren has looked fantastic.
Yeah, you said last week.
Man, he's like, man, I'm gonna get. I'm gonna lock it down. Me and Virgil are gonna be the best of friends forever. And in typical Lovren form, Lovren will give you 5 straight matches of, man, this is why we invested in this guy those years ago. This is why we gave him the big money. And then Lovren will completely shit the bed on you. Now, it was somewhat of a horror show, but it was 2 moments from Lovren.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't one of those where everything he touched turned to shit.
Mm-hmm.
It was just 2 moments.
It was like the Harry Kane moment earlier in the season.
And it was the exact same freaking play. Route 1, right down the middle. Everybody on God's green earth knows what Romelu Lukaku wants to do there. He wants to bring the and set the man beside him on a run with a pass. That's all he wants to do. All Lovren has to do is play off of him, let him take and then you're switched right on to wherever that ball goes. Instead, both times, Lovren decides he's going to get right into him, go up and try to challenge him for the ball. Those are balls where, A, he's got position on. B, he's big, strong, and can jump. You're not going to win it. If you don't have position on Lukaku, you're not going to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, he gets beat twice, pops it right off. Rashford is there for two, especially the first two very good finishes.
Yep.
Very classy finishes. Rashford did exactly what he was supposed to do. So he gets the 2 goals, and I think a little opposed to what you said earlier. At that point, and parted. He played 9 behind the ball the rest of the match.
Yeah.
Once again, embarrassing to
He left the car running.
He left it running. Embarrassing to the history, the legacy of Manchester United, the way they play football. Jose Mourinho goes and does his thing. We'll talk more about that.
I don't think Jose Mourinho really gives a shit about the history of United football. To be honest,
I don't really think he does. Actually, we will get to all that. Don't worry.
Oh my!
But the second half comes out. Liverpool completely turn it on, turn up the pressure. They get the own goal off Bailly.
Great finish from Bailly.
Hey, great finish, Bailly, great finish. But that, to me, that own goal was legit because Liverpool were really cranking up the pressure. Liverpool that goal at that moment, and then the calls came. Or excuse me, let me rephrase that. The no calls came. Liverpool were denied 2 clear penalties. The handball and then I believe it was Rashford taking down. Can't remember who took down right near the closing points of that game. But that should have been a second yellow on Rashford all day, all night. B should have been another penalty. So at the worst, Liverpool, as bad as they play first half, but Ed, it, and folks, if you listen long enough, I'm a collegiate football fan of the great Miami Hurricanes.
Oh yes.
Jimmy Johnson once famously said, "You don't go into Notre Dame and let a ref."
Yeah.
He said because you know where the call's going. Well, Notre Dame, Man United, I think about the same of both of them, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, this is what happens when you go to United and you're not going to get it. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to. It also helps when the referee is from the greater Manchester area. That's fucking great. Thanks, guys. The new Howard Webb. And, I mean, at the end of the day, I felt done. Not to say United didn't deserve to win, though. You know what I mean? Because I think United out-grifted Liverpool. Mm-hmm. And I say that in a way that everyone talks about the dark arts that the Italian sides know.
Yes.
Mourinho is like a master of the dark arts. And no, he's not Italian, but you know what? Mourinho's so closer to being Italian than anything else, it seems like, when it comes to tactics and setups. United played. I'm not trying to put anything on the players here when I say United played a nastier game than Liverpool. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying in terms of, quote, cheating, but United are so good at knowing what they can get away with. They're so good at kind of pushing the boundaries of the rule game. And that's what they did. I mean, there was, the first penalty decision. There was another penalty. Salah just didn't go down. Mm-hmm. If Salah goes down in the box, easy penalty. Everybody gets that penalty. Mo Salah didn't go down because it seems like Liverpool are one of those teams where, our guys are going to stay up and finish a play because, we love the beautiful end. I mean, we saw a few weeks ago, when Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain had that assist where it was the Maisie running and he was getting chopped, but he stayed up. Salah stayed up instead of going down. We don't get a penalty. Handball, for some reason, doesn't get called. But last time I'm giving credit United. Ashley Young, who has often been criticized on our show, as well as I think nearly every other show ever, everywhere. My favorite joke is about Sterling when Klopp says, "Hey Andy, what's that?"
Yeah.
Sterling, boss. Ashley Young had Salah in his pocket.
It was a very good job.
He ate him up. Salah is, between Salah and Kane, the two best scorers in the Premier League, and Ashley Young ate him up. Mm-hmm. And it was some great individual displays, I thought, from Manchester United. And at the end of the day, they were able to do goals, and they got the 3 points, and it was somewhat devastating. Just because A, you hate to lose the B, it hurt us in the top 4 race at the moment. And C, it's, for Liverpool, you just hope it's not going to be one of those. Mm-hmm. It lingers. That said, under Klopp, Liverpool have had a really good record of coming off losses. Mm-hmm. It's almost like Liverpool takes a bounce off a loss and then usually goes on a nice little run. So, here's the hoping that this was the season and we run it on in through May.
Well, they have 8 matches to play, and they will get another chance right back this weekend as they are out of the FA Cup. They will be right back on the grindstone this upcoming weekend. Your schedule for this weekend, and it is a little awkward because there are some FA Cup matches going on as well. So what you have is at 11 a.m., you have Stoke Everton, Huddersfield Palace, and Bournemouth West Brom. At 1:30, you get Liverpool versus Watford at Anfield. That could be a tricky match. It also could be a blowout.
The only thing I say is this is not September's Watford.
True.
Yes, this is a team that has really lost since firing their manager.
Certainly, and so that will be actually the last game of the weekend. Both of these Sunday games were also postponed. So that's it. You have basically four matches you can watch this weekend. So please enjoy this very meager offering before we head into the international break.
Well, you should be able to watch your FA Cup matches.
There you go. That is true. There will also be plenty of FA Cup matches, which we'll get to later. Quick look at the table, though. City on top now by 16 points over United with 8 to play. There is a chance that City can actually clinch the title by beating United. That would be insane and will probably happen because that's how the season is going. United are 4 up on Tottenham, who are in 3rd. Tottenham just 1 point ahead of Liverpool in 4th. And then Chelsea are 4 points back of Liverpool as they sit in 5th place. Arsenal, 8 points away from Chelsea. But I believe in you guys. I believe you guys can get to 5th.
They're coming.
I believe in you.
Well, Chelsea still have matches with, we know Tottenham. They still play Liverpool next to last match of the year. They play.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a big one.
There's 6 points right there for Arsenal.
Yeah. And those are the 2 big ones left on their schedule. They also will be playing, they do have Burnley. That's the postponed match. And that's at Burnley.
Not easy.
Not easy. And they will have to play West Ham and Southampton, 2 relegation candidates, as we'll get to in a second. So they're not good teams, but when you're fighting for your life,
definitely not good.
When you're fighting for your life, strange things happen. So as we look at the bottom of your heart, the relegation zone, Southampton right now is in that 17th position at 28 points. 1 point back is both Crystal Palace and Stoke. They are the 18th and 19th place teams. West Brom, 8 points clear of safety. They have 20 points. They're going down. It's just how it's going to be from now on. Big unfortunate. So now we look to the
shit. Fuck you, Bardu. Fuck that guy. I have no problem with him going down.
Oh, he's going to be dancing all the way back down to the championship. So as we head now to the Champions League, second week of action here, well, Wes, we can cast our minds back to like 3 weeks ago when it was gosh. Oh my God, we could have 5 English teams going to the next round. It's crazy. Maybe Chelsea can shock the world and beat Barcelona after that great 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge. Maybe they can do it, and it's going to be amazing. No English side won the last 2 weeks in the Champions League. One got a draw.
And we were so young and naive.
Yes. There was
2 weeks ago, we were so young and naive.
There was one draw. Liverpool got the draw.
You're welcome, positive.
And also, to be fair, Man City lost. It didn't matter, obviously, but it was also their first loss at home this season. So,
it's what it was.
Make that what you will.
Take from that what you will. There you go.
But this week, we had matches. Besiktas took on Bayern Munich at home, and it was not that night in Istanbul, as Bayern put 3 more past Besiktas to win 8-1 on aggregate. The final was 3-1 towards Bayern, so they will be progressing to the next round.
The superpower that no one talks about.
It's true. Bayern struggled kind of early in the season, and when we weren't looking, they asserted like a 20-point lead back in the Bundesliga. So that's...
Well, the whole thing for Bayern is now they have superstar players. Don't get me wrong. They just don't have these huge media personalities. So, I mean, you look over at Juventus, and they've got someone like Dybala or Gonzalo Higuain, who everyone apparently just loves to slaughter Higuain. They've got Gigi Buffon. You look at the Spanish clubs, obviously they're always in the news because of the players. PSG's in the news because, well, they're the grease fire that never puts itself out. And then, of course, the English teams. And then you've got just slaughtering people. It's just like, you start talking, Barcelona or City. Oh, man, maybe Liverpool. Oh, shit, Bayern's out there. Fuck. It's like, damn it. It's still Bayern. And all they do is just beat the hell out of people and win with German efficiency.
Yeah, the sleeping German giants. They are back into the round of 8. And, hey, Arsenal, don't feel bad. It's not just you that gets beat badly by them in the quarters. Or in the round of 16. Hey.
At least it's not you this year, guys. Good job.
Good job.
Good job, Arsenal.
Good job.
Hey, Ed, really congratulations to Arsenal. We are not talking about them getting eliminated in the round of 16 this year. Good job, guys.
It's true, because we're recording this the day before their second leg of their round of 16 tie in the Europa League.
Oh, Jesus God, I didn't even think about that.
Don't worry, I think they have like a 2-goal lead. It's fine. It's going to be fine. Sure.
Yeah, totally. Well, Ed, we already know they're going undefeated.
Exactly. They're going undefeated until the final. It's fine. Roma also with a big 1-0 win at home against Shakhtar Donetsk. Edin Dzeko with the goal in the 52nd minute. That made it 2-2 on aggregate. And Roma with that big away goal in the first leg. They go through on away goals. So Roma, one of those big Italian clubs, trying to rise back up to power a little bit. They are heading to the round of 8. All right, so Wes, the last 2 matches we have to talk about. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Manchester, or do you want to go to the Catalans in Barcelona?
And I would like to go to the Catalan first, the Catalan region, because there's just shoots off of that United one that we can almost take it right into news and notes while we do.
It's true. So Barcelona, they struggled against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. It was 1-1. They needed Lionel Messi to score his first ever goal against Chelsea to get them a draw to take back to the Camp Nou.
That must have worked out well for him.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well because he was inspired for this match against Chelsea in the return leg. Messi, 3 minutes in, nutmegs Thibaut Courtois. Barcelona off to the races. Then one of the Dembele triplets, Ousmane Dembele, he gets what I believe is his first goal. And
the really expensive one.
Yeah, first goal in a very long time for Barcelona in the 20th minute.
His first goal for Barcelona.
There you go. Yes, okay, so I didn't mishear that. It was his first goal, period, for Barcelona. He puts one in the top shelf in the 20th minute. And then Chelsea pressed. They tried to get back in the game. But in the 63rd minute, Barcelona broke. And then they broke their hearts. Messi puts it through Courtois' 5-hole again. 3-0 is the final. Barcelona advances 4-1 on aggregate. And Wes, this was a game where Chelsea at least showed some fight, but still this was a very bad loss for Chelsea. They lose 4-1 on aggregate. And I told you some of the guys they left on the bench today, at least to start with. Morata starts on the bench in favor of Olivier Giroud. Pedro starts on the bench. Gary Cahill starts on the bench. Like, I know. But and maybe that speaks more to the problem is that's, I kind of almost wonder if that's Conte just saying, okay, this is what you bought me. Here you go. Look at what you bought me. You bought me a 3-0 loss in Spain. Congrats. Thanks, guys.
Out of that group you just mentioned, Cahill.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about Pedro at this point. That was one of the problems in the Pedro.
Yeah.
And that's for Morata not starting. Okay, we've obviously. Then the fact that they started Giroud.
Yeah.
I mean,
he knows about losing to Barcelona. So
yeah, I mean, he's great at losing in the round of 16. That's where he excels. But that one was just so bizarre because you bought Giroud kind of as this stopgap because you just needed another striking body almost. And then you bench the 60 million-ish pound Morata and start Giroud. I mean, this is a Giroud who I don't think started maybe but one match for Arsenal this year.
I mean, he's basically a super sub.
Exactly, and you're starting him. Oh, man. This match the narrative could have been different. Early on, right after Messi scored that opener, Chelsea had a really good little form where they were doing some nice things. They had they had some chances. I think they sent one just over the top. Another one Ter Stegen got a hand on. I believe it was Azpilicueta or Alonso.
I think it was Alonso
who hit the post on a free kick. That look. Oh man, if it hadn't curled so much, he had beaten Ter Stegen. And I mean, for Chelsea, they just couldn't get anything to go. But then when Dembele beat him with that second, fantastic finish by Dembele.
Oh yeah.
Once that went in, I think that broke Chelsea. They were just. I mean, that was about all they had. I think they lost confidence that they could come back and win. And it's exactly what happened. You just wonder what would have been if Chelsea could have gotten one of those early opportunities in. But that's it. Talking about Messi, you mentioned how first leg he scored his first ever goal against Chelsea. Well, like I said, must have sparked something because he's like, really nice. I'll do that if you. At the end of the day, I mean, Messi was Messi.
It's so good.
And something that I think is overlooked by more of the American and the English fans, because we're not used to seeing Barcelona every week. We just kind of hear the name. This isn't your older brother's Barcelona. This isn't tiki-taka, keep the ball 70% of the match Barcelona anymore. This is a Barcelona team that is also giving the other team some possession. Now, they're still usually going to win the possession matchup. Don't get me wrong. But they have no problem now sitting back and springing the break on a counter. Or trying to win the ball in your midfield. Quick counter where it doesn't have to be 96 passes and a shot. It can be 1, 2, 3. The second, the Dembele goal, the goal was great. The Messi run was even better.
Yeah.
Messi basically going away and Messi started it with just a little bit of defensive pressure. And then he skips one, goes outside around the second Chelsea defender, and then finds Dembele for the pass. it was spectacular. It was great counterattacking football at its finest. And that's what makes Barcelona such a tough matchup, because they can still, now don't get me wrong, they can still go out, sit there and pass the ball around. Not quite as efficiently as they used to, but they can still do some of the elements of tiki-taka, but then they can turn around and kill you with a blistering counter break. And just add the fact they've got the best player. Mm-hmm. They've got the best player maybe ever. And they're a very difficult matchup right now. They're very tough. And Chelsea, I mean, surely no one is acting like this. Shock. I mean, this is the best team in La Liga, potentially the best team in the world, beating the 5th place Premier League team. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of what it is, but at the same time, a disappointing day for Chelsea, just because you had a chance from Stamford Bridge.
Well, and let me ask you this, as we kind of close our talk on this match. Mm-hmm. One of the quotes coming out in the post-match presser from Conte was, quote, "If you watch the game, you can see the final result is unfair. Our start was terrible to concede after 2 minutes. After this, we tried to play football. For a long time, we dominated the game." I can agree with some of that. I don't think the result was unfair.
Yeah, I don't think the result was unfair at all. I do agree that they... But even at that point, I never felt like Barcelona was out of control. Mm-hmm. You know, it always still felt like Barcelona had the front foot and still seemed like they were the better squad. Mm-hmm. Let's put it this way. If Chelsea had come down and scored an equalizer in the 10th minute, mm-hmm. which they had the chance to, I still, if I had been a Barcelona fan, I still wouldn't have gotten too nervous about it.
Right.
I still would have said, all right, well, let's go play. We can. And that's exactly what they did. They found another goal or two. And, you know, Chelsea just aren't as good as Barcelona. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all it is. They're just not. And I think the better team won because the better team. Mm-hmm. But yes, Chelsea had their moments, and Chelsea had a period of time where they should have scored at least a goal and made a match. But they didn't.
Yeah.
And £60 million sat on the bench and did jack shit.
Well, speaking of a lot of money sitting on the bench and doing jack shit, hey, it's not just you tonight. Let's turn our attention.
Was that directly sent to?
Let's turn our attention. Let's turn our attention to Old Trafford, where it went into the match. Sevilla, Manchester United 0-0 after the balance of V, and then for 45 minutes it was still 0-0, and then Wasim Ben Yedder, comes out with a brace in 4 minutes of play, right at the with a quarter of an hour to play. United is shell shocked. They're down 2-0. Lukaku gets one back in the 84th. They tried somewhat desperately for a miracle equalizer, could not get it. They would have had to have scored a second one because Sevilla would have had the away goals anyway. But, you know, then you want to talk about some weird decisions. Pogba starting on the bench. Fellaini starting, period.
Period.
And I will also say this. I will say this. Fellaini starting, I don't hate. I don't like, but I don't hate it. I will tell you this. If he had put in Fellaini and changed the formation and taken out Alexis Sanchez, I would have actually...
But there's the key.
Yeah.
You can't take out Alexis Sanchez because you're paying the gross domestic product of Guatemala.
But he's been garbage.
Exactly. But you bought the brand and all that. Yeah. You can't. Oh God! Just think if they had lost with Sanchez on the bench. Oh my God! Sanchez and his dogs would have attacked.
So that there were some very big question marks with this lineup. Martial did come in, as did Pogba after the hour mark. But United, they just couldn't control the midfield, at all. And Fellaini was okay, but he wasn't good. And that's what you have to be, even against a team you should maybe technically outclass like Sevilla. You just being good isn't good enough. You have to be great in the Champions League, and United, quite frankly, weren't. And that's all that really comes down to. And I mean, the possession was almost even. I think Sevilla, I think they said it during the match, threw up 43 shots over the two legs. Like, they deserve to go through. They deserve to go through.
Manchester United immediately showed their intent on the match with the starting of Fellaini.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because suddenly now you have a mix of Fellaini and Matic. Matic is the anchor, base guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not an offensive threat. Take away that stunner against Crystal Palace. He's not doing anything for you offensively. You need that midfielder who's going to push you forward. Pogba, okay, you can. We understand that. Of course, he missed the Liverpool match due to an injury. So, okay, that's fine. My question, you're looking at the bench. Where's Scott McTominay,
mm-hmm.
who has played extremely well,
mm-hmm.
extremely well since he's had to be
mm-hmm.
basically since he's had to force his way into. If you put McTominay in, you give yourself a better impetus going forward. But once again, we saw what Jose Mourinho wanted to do. Jose Mourinho was more than happy to sit back and just hope that a goal came from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Until they went down, they were nearly parking the bus against Sevilla.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 5th place team in La Liga. This is not a great football side. And United showed interest in going forward and getting a couple of goals. Mourinho has no one to blame but himself. He is absolutely killing himself with this whole. I understand pragmatism,
mm-hmm.
but you know what? You're pragmatic. You're pragmatic against teams that aren't better than you.
Yeah.
When you have better personnel and you have better, you go and you make plays. You go and you do things. You go and you try to score goals. United, for whatever reason, don't do that.
It's bizarre.
Why did you spend all this to make him play deep? Why? Why did you spend all this money on Alexis Sanchez when you have no need to go forward? Mm-hmm. The Sanchez signing, every time you watch him play, just boggles the mind more and more.
Yeah.
When you look at the way that United play, compared to the way that Arsenal play or City play or Liverpool play, when you look at the places that Alexis, he's having to come 3/4 of the way deep into the field to get the ball
mm-hmm.
back or a center back and try to work his way forward. Sanchez is the guy that links the midfield to the striker. That is what he is. He's that middle guy. He doesn't need to be coming back, taking the, but he's having to. And also, Sanchez is, when he was at Arsenal, when he got the ball in the final third,
mm-hmm.
he would turn and he would have 2 guys making toward the goal. And that's what made him so dangerous, because at that point, you're pulling defenders. He can find either a killer pass or he suddenly has space to move in and play and potentially score a goal. There's none of that at United. He turns like, shit, there's 4 black jerseys back there. I have nowhere to go. I have no one to pass to. I have no one to. And that's why it is, it's one of those things we've said about Pogba. Here's Mourinho buying a Lamborghini to drive around the streets of, New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, fine, you can go find one again. And he's got all. and he won't let them play a thoroughbred type match.
Yeah.
He's gotten so pragmatic that and now it's almost a joke, but the thing is now, as we've seen with some of his comments, he's so stubborn and hard-headed that right now you could give the guy Pele, Diego Maradona, and us just because, well, look at our results. We win.
Well,
we get results.
And that's what he said after the Liverpool match. He made it a point to say, I do not care what you think. I do not
exactly.
Care. He said, and then he says after this match, and it's just bizarre, the things he says after this match. He basically says, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the quote in front of me, but basically, I was in this chair when Porto came in and we beat Man United. I think it was when he was at Milan. When they came and beat United, I've knocked United out of this competition. I've been here for this. This is nothing new. It's like, what? Exactly. Like, we know you like to troll everyone else. You're trolling your own team now. What is this?
I mean, here's the thing. We talk about the style of play. This is Manchester.
Yeah.
From Sir Matt Busby
attack.
This is a team that plays an attractive brand of football. I'm not saying you attack everyone and leave nothing in the obviously that, but you know what? Those guys didn't do that either. The great Liverpool teams of Paisley and Dalglish, they attacked without leaving the back exposed. The best teams, that's what they do. Hey, you know what? That's what Real Madrid do. Over the last few years, they attack, but they don't leave the back exposed. Mourinho, and now you brought in Mourinho, and we said when they brought him in that this fit for this club, stylistically wise. But, United fans were so frustrated with Moyes and with Van Gaal for very good reason, mind you.
Yeah, absolutely.
For every good reason in the book, they were frustrated from. They said, we don't care, just give us results. Well, the thing is, when you're winning trophies, all right, hey, we're winning trophies. But here's the deal, man. Last year, they won the League Cup. They won the FA. Kim Jong-un, I clap for you. Good job. And it was good to come in and win.
No, they won the League Cup and Europa.
Okay, that's right. They didn't win the FA. And that's great. That's awesome. But at the end of the day, Manchester United, much like Liverpool, much like Barcelona, PSG, at the end of the day, yes, it's cool to win the Copa del Rey, but you're judged on the big ones, which are the league and Europe. And when, you could say, well, we're points behind the league. Who cares? The only thing 2nd through 4th does this year is get you back in the Champions League. It's not like you've done a monster achievement at this point. Okay, so you're 2nd. Also throw in the fact your crosstown rivals are the one who are just dogging you right now.
Yeah.
And then you get knocked out of the Champions League team that when your fans look at it and they're like, oh, yeah, it's Sevilla, no problem. Here's the thing. Not that Chelsea fans are happy, but at least Chelsea fans can say, well, shit. Spurs fans, well, shit, we lost to Juventus. We lost to Sevilla.
Yeah.
Over 2 legs. And we're so fucking negative. Well, now, when those results aren't going your way, now it is an issue. Because it's not, well, you know what, we're playing ball. Hey, as a Liverpool fan, right now, we're not winning the league. There's probably a good chance we're not going to win the Champions League. But you know what? There's a really good feeling around Liverpool. Naby Keita's coming in. We look like we're on an upward trajectory of where we're next season. Liverpool fans are excited. And a lot of that is this is how we play because we know on our day we can beat anyone. Spurs, on our day we can beat anyone. United, can we say that?
I don't know.
And it's because their manager takes away from them the ability to go beat anyone. Pochettino, Klopp, those two managers, they're going to at least give their guys a chance to go out and do something awesome. Now, it's up to those players whether they do it or not. But Pep Guardiola gives his guys the chance to do it. Arsene fucking Wenger gives his guys the chance. With United, he won't give them the chance.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there's always that chance. But when you lose, it just kicks it to another level of unrest when you lose.
Yeah.
And I think that's what United are about to hit me. I guess they're still in the FA.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? United fans, who cares? Because City's going to win the league. And let's just say Liverpool go and win the European Cup. And United wins the FA. Big fucking deal. What have you done this year? Biggest rivals just won the cups. Or let's just say Liverpool just get to the semi. Still a hell of a lot better than what United have done. And the problem is, once again, Liverpool are looking up toward next season. City are looking up toward next season. Tottenham are looking up toward next season. Even Arsenal and Chelsea are kind of like, well, we're going to get a new manager. Probably. United fans are sitting there like, oh, shit, what are we going to do? Spend more money? We've already done that.
Mm-hmm.
Spend £1 billion freaking pounds. And you've got a team that's unbalanced, has impetus to go forward. Really, right now, other than a couple of defenders, where are you going to spend all this money for United with the way that Mourinho keeps playing?
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating right now to look at. They have the building blocks of a great side, and yet it's almost like they're scared to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not scared because it's Mourinho who's just like, nope, I'm just going to play it my way because everybody gets pissed when I do it this way. So that's how I'm going to do it. So, very frustrating for you.
Yeah.
Which I don't feel bad for them at all, but
of course not.
Frustrating.
Yeah, it's just bizarre happenings right now in Manchester United, and I don't think it's going to get better. And yet they extend his contract. There's talks that Pogba's going to be out. Obviously this Alexis Sanchez isn't working. He's just been very, very poor since coming over to United.
And apparently he is not a happy camper at the moment.
I can imagine.
Which we've seen what happens when Alexis is.
His dog's very sad.
Very sad puppies.
I
hate seeing those puppies sad.
Well, teams that won't hate seeing those puppies sad are the teams that are qualified for the quarterfinals. They include Liverpool, Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Juventus, Roma, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Sevilla. That is 3 Spanish sides, 2 English and Italian sides, and 1 German side. The draw for the quarterfinals will be this Friday, March 16th at noon Central Eastern Time, or Central World Eastern Time, I guess.
Somewhere.
I don't know what that actually is right now. Because we just had the time jump. I think that might actually be 8 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, well, usually by the getting on with our day, we know what.
Yes. When we wake up Friday morning, we'll know what the draw is. So that'll be big draw. And again, one more time, there's no more. You can't play X team from the quarterfinals on. It is whoever you get drawn against is who you're playing against. So some very interesting matchup possibilities with some very, very strong teams still remaining in the competition. Quick FA Cup recap for the quarterfinals this coming weekend. On Saturday, you'll get Swansea hosting Tottenham, and then United looking to bounce back against Brighton and Hove at home. If they lose that, it's gonna be spicy. It's gonna be spicy next week on the pod. And then on Sunday you get Wigan hosting Southampton. Wigan, I think, has a chance in that one. And then Leicester hosts Chelsea at the KP Stadium. So those are your quarterfinal matchups there. That'll do it for our match talk. Let's head the news and notes. Just mentioned Southampton. They will have a new coach. Maurizio Pellegrino was sacked earlier this week from Southampton. They are currently in 17th place in the league, as we mentioned, and they will be gone. And let's see. What retread can we get to come coach Southampton for the last 8 matches of the year? Hey, Mark Hughes is available. Let's bring him on in. So the 54-year-old is going to come on in, formerly of Manchester City, formerly of Stoke. He'll bring his flair to Southampton and try to see if they can stay up. And Wes, just real quick, I mean, we don't have to talk about this story much because we're pretty much, pretty comfortable with who Mark Hughes is at this point. But it's very sad to see Southampton as good as they were. I mean, this was a team that was competing for European spots. We thought, this is a club that is really growing in the Premier League the right way. And every time it's like, okay, well, they got poached by Liverpool and Tottenham, but they'll just come back next year with more good players that we've never heard of, and they'll be great. And eventually, kind of like what happened in Major League Baseball to the Tampa Bay Rays, eventually you can't keep letting your best players go. Like, you have to stop it at some point. Southampton didn't, and now they might become a cautionary tale before heading down to the championship.
Well, and, the thing with Southampton is Southampton like to make a show of, oh, God, I can't believe this is happening to us. Mm-hmm. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
I believe somewhat like the Oakland A's, that was their
them too.
That was their idea. I mean, this is Southampton who, they're not a club with a lot of money. They had a really good run of getting some really good players. Mm-hmm. They scouted well, they signed well, they took some undervalued guys, and instead of guys who at the age of 22 were, polished and ready to rock and roll, they went to Southampton, and by 25, they were ready to go. Mm-hmm. I mean, just look at a few real quick. Sadio Mane, Virgil van Dijk. Just 2 examples. Those were 2 guys who, Van Dijk coming out of Celtic, everybody's, Celtic for £8 million, but he wasn't ready. Mm-hmm. He wasn't quite to the level. And it worked out. Mane coming from Salzburg wasn't quite there yet. And Southampton, to their, to the acknowledgement of Southampton, they saw these guys. I think they knew they were good at finding some undervalued guys who, if just given some good coaching and some time, they knew could blow up. And that's what happened. It's not so much what it was. It used to. This is the academy that Gareth Bale, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Theo Walcott, just to name a few, all came out of as youngsters. Now they had gotten better at finding those guys around Europe and turning them into something. But they knew what they were doing. They knew that they were kind of grooming these guys. They weren't going to stay at Southampton forever. They were getting guys who were looking to take that next step. They wanted to go to the top 6 Premier League teams, or wanted to go to Spain, or wanted to go to Italy, go to these places. So when you're getting those players, to me, you're not building your foundation. Mm-hmm. And for Southampton, eventually, unless you just keep hitting home runs every year, you're going to run into a spot where shit. And Southampton got to a point over the last year, I think especially Liverpool, who we always joke about, have a joke. Liverpool especially found really good value. They saw what Southampton had and were like, shit, man, these are good players. These are guys that we would like to help take us to the next level. They just happen to keep going from the same team. But I think Southampton fans got to a point where they're like, oh, my God, this is bullshit. We keep selling Liverpool and Spurs our best players. You've got to do something about this. They said that to management. So at that point, it's like their recruiting strategy changed. Mm-hmm. And suddenly they weren't going after the Sadio Mane, after more like established Premier League players
Mm-hmm.
who did not have that next ceiling. They didn't have that next level to break to. I mean, you kind of look at them now. Okay. I mean, no one here is overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where they messed up. Is I think they listened a little too much to fan sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
Fans were getting upset about losing superstar players, so they're like, "Well, you know what? We're just not going to start, so you can't come and poach them anymore." And the problem is, it's like, "Oh shit! Now we're just not that good." I think that's where Southampton are sitting. Now, that said, if Mark Hughes takes them into the championship, which now with Mark Hughes, I would almost say is a really good. That's good because Liverpool are going to need to reinforce some next year, and
Hey.
Nathan Redmond, Charlie Austin, and Ryan Bertrand will be really good playing EFL Cup matches.
Oh boy!
So that's right, Ed. You gotta somewhere, and we know what we like.
Oh man,
We likes what we likes, and we go for it.
it's an acquired taste at this point. So that is what's going on in Southampton. Now we have what I like to call 4 stories of just men behaving badly to varying degrees. And on a semi-serious note, these were horrifying displays of behavior at the Olympic Stadium. West Ham fans multiple times invaded the pitch in their game, their loss against Burnley at the London Stadium. There was one gentleman who took a corner flag and ran it towards the middle of the field and put it in the center circle. There was, he had to be walked off by people. Guards weren't really rushing in, or security personnel, and that's very troubling. I know, some people make jokes like, ha ha ha, West, streakers, they're so funny, guys doing this so funny. I mean, the guy could have taken the corner flag and started hitting players with it. This is absurd. We had the pictures from the Burnley bench where they had kids sitting with them because they were trying to get them away from the violence in the stands. This is atrocious. And I get it, the club is in disarray and everybody's unhappy, and David Moyes, who's being allowed to hire staff but doesn't know if he's going to even be back next year. The club is in shambles. That doesn't give you the right to do this shit. You have to still behave like human beings. That doesn't give you the right. I don't care. You could be the biggest fucking fan in the world. You don't get to do this. No, it's not cool. So I know we like to rag on West Ham, especially as Tottenham fans. Because they suck and it's funny, and we have that little London rivalry.
Do you know they got a new stadium that they didn't have to pay for?
It's crazy.
They're no longer at Upton Park.
Oh man, that's a
call. That's a callback.
That's a callback. This is horrendous. And the club, quite frankly, should be ashamed of it, and every supporter should be ashamed of it. I don't have that much to add, except just people don't do this, and then I hope they have more security in place for the next home game, because that's absurd.
I heard one of my pods had a really went in depth on. Had a guest on who actually runs a West Ham podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to kind of hear the in-depth of what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And now, completely not excusing the actions of fans running on the field. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, let's just say right now, you're not convincing me that's okay. Yeah. Fuck that.
No. I mean, and I'm not going to try. But the West Ham in general right now are going through a period of time with this club where they are so disenfranchised with the board and ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And just some of the reasons when you look into it, they've been things that just have not. They've been promised that, hey, They were promised that leaving the bowling ground, leaving Upton Park, that this new stadium was going to take them into, hey, we're going to be big boys now financially because, this is going to generate so much for us where hey, they didn't have to pay for the ground. This has been an issue we've talked about in the past. They didn't have to pay for the damn ground given to them. This was going to set them up into a better financial for the top players. This was going to bring them up in the world. And it hasn't happened. They've still penny pinched. They've still, they have not advanced all these things that they told their fans they were going to have. And fans see a lot of it as the board and the owners are pocketing all this extra money that they're making and not putting when you look at West Ham are one of these old school clubs where they were in one spot for 100 years. And that area now, and this is another thing that is while ownership and management seems to be pocketing all these huge profits suddenly, that old section of London where Upton Park was, that section of the city is dying because they relied so much on the game day revenue that came through it. It was like there are a lot of bars down there, a lot of places to go for that game day experience that, these are the local businesses down there. Well, they're dying because there's no reason for 40,000 people to come and drink beer Saturdays, You have a fan base that feels lied to, feels abandoned by their ownership. And once again, they're watching while they're sitting there and they still feel that they're a stock because, here you hired fucking David Moyes. And yes, I think that's a little harsh on David Moyes, but I think anyone knew hiring David Moyes is not. And West Ham still did it. They still did it. And they're not going to give him anything. They're not going to give him any extra money. All they'll do is say, "Oh well, you barely." Should we trust? That's kind of what they do, and this is why West Ham fans are so just furious and so distraught right now. Once again, not defending what they did, but these are some of the reasons why you're seeing the anger boiling over from that fan base.
Well, just do what Arsenal did and get planes with messages in the sky. Do that. Don't storm the field.
I don't think they can afford this.
Probably true. On to our next story in the what the fuck were you thinking category.
in the hold my beer, I'm next.
Just an Egyptian writer. Remember this, folks. This was an Egyptian writer.
No Americans said this.
No. No
one associated with Donald Trump or the right said this. Let's just throw that out there.
We hope. An Egyptian writer called on Liverpool's Mo Salah to shave his beard because, quote, it puts him in one basket with extremists and terrorists. As the Associated Press noted, facial hair is a personal choice and that people shouldn't be judged on their appearance.
Guy has a beard.
And as we mentioned, as has been mentioned many times, Mo Salah is pretty much beloved by all of Egypt. He got them to a World Cup. I don't
King of Egypt.
think they really give a fuck that he has a beard.
I don't think he's lost any fans for having a beard.
This is you're not just fired from your job. This is you don't work in this profession again. You're done. You're fucking done. You don't do this. Like we like to joke about how when we would go to the International Champions Cup matches about asking questions to our favorite coaches and not so favorite coaches and what we would do. we would never do something like this. Like I don't even think we joked about something nearly this bad. Like we wanted to make fun. Go ahead.
And I'm as off color as it gets when it comes to stupid. I mean, hey, you know what? Hey, Ed, let me throw this to you. You know who has beards?
Who?
Terrorists. Ed, you know who else has beards?
Who?
Navy SEALs who fight terrorists. Ed, you know who else has beards?
Who?
Jesus had a beard. Ed.
Oh.
Was Jesus a terrorist?
Are you saying Jesus was a Navy SEAL terrorist?
Exactly, a Navy SEAL. Basically, he's the guy in black. Yeah, because that guy was basically a Navy SEAL terrorist.
Oh.
He had a beard, so that explains it. I mean, this is just beyond stupid. I mean, how many people in Egypt walk around with a beard and aren't terrorists?
Oh, a lot.
I mean,
a very large number.
I mean, and it's not even like this is one of those, cultural things where, our culture forbids you to have a beard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is just one guy suddenly saying, terrorists have beards, so Mo Salah should shave his beard. Jesus Christ. I mean, I have nothing to really, I don't really have anything to say. What can you say?
You're fired. That's literally all you say.
But as for that part about you're fired,
mm-hmm.
that's not America. It's not Britain. I don't know exactly what they will do in Egypt. I bet this guy keeps his job. I mean, whatever his job is, I'm sure
he is a writer for the paper. It's a state-run Egyptian. That's the other thing. It's a state-run paper.
Yeah.
But it's a state-run paper calling one of your own citizens a fucking terrorist.
I'd love to see what happens. We almost need to follow up and see.
It's in the
because
newspaper.
I just got a feeling he doesn't. I've got a feeling he doesn't lose that, which is just bizarre.
We'll definitely be keeping track if I can figure out how to read Arabic. I'll look at Al Around Weekly.
And really quick, let's recap: people with terrorists, Navy SEALs, and Jesus.
There you go.
That's a pretty diverse group.
Oh my God!
You know who else have beards?
Who?
Canadians have beards because it's cold.
You know who doesn't have a beard?
You?
Jamie Carragher.
Oh, Jamie doesn't have a beard.
He doesn't.
Jamie might want to grow one so he can.
Yeah.
Manchester.
Oh man, if we're talking about now this is not beyond the pale as telling a man to shave off a beard because it makes him look like a terrorist. This is not even. I would say this is not even quite on the level as Pitch Invaders. I won't say that.
Well,
this is
certainly our last story. It's not on that level. But,
yeah. Jamie Carragher has spit on a heckler and his 14-year-old daughter as he was leaving the match for Manchester United and Liverpool. He was, I guess, taunted a little bit, and he sent a loogie toward the open window. And to which, of course, because this is 2018 and we film everything now, and the father's reply is, "Oh, Jamie Carragher spat on my daughter." Like it's not. Oh, I'm gonna get you, Jamie Carragher. I'm gonna make you pay for that. I'm gonna make you rue the day you spit on my daughter.
You spent that guy really, really high. He's from Manchester. He's a fucking bank.
Excuse me. Yeah. Is that not how they talk?
No, the way they talk is "Eeyore, eeyore." Always
man.
making friends.
Oh man. Now to be fair, Carragher basically immediately came out and apologized. He took full responsibility. He said no excuse apologies. That's good. Jamie, don't do this. This is dumb. Just roll up the window of your car. Just don't.
Jamie, should have just rolled the window.
You're
all the way. I want it back.
You're better than this, Jamie. You're better.
Jamie.
We expect much better of you than this. Like,
let me throw this out here. After you want to know the really sad.
Oh, please tell me.
I don't know how old the father was. Let's just a 14-year-old kid.
45, 46, maybe
a little
older.
Let's just say 40. Okay, you had your kid. You were mid-20s. You had your kid.
Okay.
Jamie Carragher is, I believe, Jamie's 40, early 40s. So
sure.
Let's say these are two 40-year-old men.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to the video,
mm-hmm.
here is the man driving down the road, filming Jamie Carragher while heckling Jamie Carragher. Here's Jamie Carragher spinning back at him. The voice of reason in this entire thing was a 14-year-old girl going, "Dad, stop.
Yeah.
Dad, come on, just stop, Dad." And unfortunately for that poor girl, she's the one who got spat on.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me feel so bad is here was this girl trying to say, "Dad, please stop being an idiot.
Don't be one of those guys.
Don't be that guy."
Yeah.
And instead, her dad was 100% that guy.
Yeah.
And Jamie Carragher was 100% the stupid athlete who did something completely more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the point that kind of disappoints me the most is that we had to rely on the 14-year-old daughter to try to be the voice of.
Yeah. It's nice that we talk about that today, of all days, I guess. Hey! Speaking of guns, this is our last story. And, oh my God, this is insane. The owner...
Remember, it only matters if it's...
The owner of Greekside PAOK...
Pauk?
Yeah, that's how we say it. It's not Nambla, I know that. Ran onto the pitch to confront a referee after a match with a gun visible in his buckle. The referee disallowed a PAOK goal during the match. This can't become the norm. Like I don't want to see Roman Abramovich coming down to the pitch after a game with a piece in his side. I don't want to see that. Like this man needs to be disciplined swiftly and to the fullest extent of the law. That is, we cannot set the precedent that this is okay. It's not. It's not okay.
No. And once again, in a way where I'm not. Tensions were high. PAOK actually sitting third in the table right now in the Greek Super League. Mm-hmm. The team that beat them was Tripolis. Mm-hmm. Tripolis sits at 7th in the league, and right there that loss from PAOK taken pretty much out of contention to win the title. But oh my! Now Ed, as you know, firearm differences in our lives. Mm-hmm. I am all for the right to carry a firearm. I carry one myself quite often. I'm a owner and a carrier. But Ed, I know there are certain. Mm-hmm. So I leave it either in my safe or I lock it somewhere in my vehicle, and I don't carry my gun there. Mm-hmm. One of these most definitely would be a sporting event.
Yeah.
Because, not an emotion.
And I'm sure there's never alcohol served at any of these events.
No, never. But as much as I am all the right to bear and carry, I think one of the biggest things about that is using as where you have that. You cannot run out onto a field with this weapon just basically out in the open.
I mean, anybody could have run up there, taken it from him, and then just started shooting. Like, oh yeah, just because you're safe with your gun.
Well, and really, to me, that's not even.
Yeah, I mean that's a tertiary.
Well, more to the fact is, he did not have that gun safely holstered. Mm-hmm. If you ever look at my holster. It covers everything. You have to full pull the gun out to be able to use it. Mm-hmm. Down there, right in your pants. I mean, you suddenly are running into the the gun going off, jostled or something hitting the trigger, and if a shot goes off, if it doesn't hit anyone, that's pandemonium. Mm-hmm. Because once you hear gunshot, there's 25. I'm guessing 30,000 people there. Shit, somebody's got a gun. And the next thing that can lead to stampedes. That can lead to crushing. Mm-hmm. That can lead to deaths that are nowhere near the gun.
Yeah,
there are just so many things when you go, especially to a sporting event, some sort of event like that, the only people who should be under law enforcement.
Well, and I was just about to say, if we look on this picture on Twitter taken by Callum Scriven, you can see just beyond this owner, there are armed police officers. If they all of a sudden hear a gun go off, what's going to happen? Like,
there you go. I mean, there are so many things at that point that could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
It's madness. There's no room for that. And once again, as a person who believes a citizen's right to carry and bear arms, there are places that should not apply. Now, you and I could argue for hours about, quote, gun-free zones.
Mm-hmm.
But there are places where, like, I don't believe, I should not walk into a bar with my gun.
Mm-hmm.
And there are actually laws. If you start in the state of North Carolina, if you are in a bar drinking, I believe there's something about that actually wipes out your right to be even concealed carrying at that point.
Yeah.
So there are rules. That's the thing. There are rules to that. There are written rules on where you can carry, what you can carry. I don't know Greek gun laws. And once again, I understand too, this guy's the owner of the. He probably does not have to submit to the same security checking that maybe the fans in the stands do. Mm-hmm. But that's judgment right there, man. And that is as poor a judgment call as you can make. When you know it's going to be an emotionally charged situation, if nothing else, that guy who I'm sure has an assistant standing right there, if I'm pulling my gun out, hand to my assistant, stay here, hold this.
Yeah. At
the very least.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not running out where everybody can see that I've got a freaking gun in my pants. So, sir, the only gun in my pants at that point is the one that.
It's just dumb. It's just dumb. That's what it is. So hopefully,
yeah, that's terrible.
Hopefully, really? Somebody learns from that. So there's our men behaving badly edition of news and notes.
And it's sad, because we love men.
We do love men. Speaking of men, Wes, in the Watch 4, have you been watching any men this week or in the week that was?
It has been my weird work week where I worked all weekend at night. I'm caught up on the Detour, which that show's just a bit mind fuck. That's just funny, man. It's a damn mind fuck. This week we had a plane crash. Well, I assume that's how it ends because that's kind of where the episode ended. Was the plane going out? Was a plane? It had some funniness around that. What's my watch? SEAL Team's on a hiatus again. I've read that they're trying to stretch that out till May sweeps, and that they didn't have a full season in it. Mm-hmm. So they're just kind of trying to stretch that out. So we're going to get a little hiatus. I don't expect to see much the next few weeks with the NCAA tournament, which has actually started today, and kicks off full steam on Thursday. And so, we might lose some TV there on the CBS affiliated channels, of which SEAL Team is a part of. What else for me? I don't know, man. I watched at work over the weekend. Because who the hell wouldn't have a Pitch Perfect marathon?
It's true.
It's damn true.
Oh, it's true.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true. I did see a new little movie over the weekend that popped up on. Maybe you remember hearing about this one. The Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse?
That sounds vaguely familiar. Yes.
It's about a 3-year-old movie at this point. It was interesting. It was quite entertaining.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up on IMDb right now.
As we're at work, it was quite entertaining. So I did watch that. That was a new thing that I watched this week. So, I don't have a lot to add this. When you're working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., the last thing I'm thinking about when I roll up hey, let's see what's on TV. No, I'm thinking, my God, I want to, and hopefully resuscitate myself around 3:30.
There you go. That's what's important.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, May sweeps are coming, so they should be moving themselves toward a climax right now.
Oh, yes.
So that's exciting to see. And then we get ready for some summer shows coming.
Mm-hmm.
And are we ever getting Archer again this year? I don't know the Archer.
I don't know. Right now I have 4. I just looked at this for the first time on my television app. I now have April 25th, 2018, Archer Danger Island, Strange Pilot.
April 25th. There you go, folks. April 25th.
And it looks like this new season will be called Danger Island.
Danger Island. That sounds very Archerish. I introduced some of my workmates to Archer. They did not thank me, but I'm sure they will in the long run.
Oh, of course.
Of course. That's a Wednesday night, so we will we'll get to talk about that in early May. Archer's back.
Very, very exciting. So yeah, that's gonna be great. I'm very excited. Brooklyn Nine-Nine back this weekend. So very excited now that I'm fully caught up. Very, very excited to welcome back the 9-9. Also, I do want to get into, and I haven't gotten into it yet. It is on the docket. The new Jessica Jones series on Netflix from Marvel, starring Kristen Ritter, the lovely, amazingly talented Kristen Ritter. She's back on that, so I'm interested to see where they go in season 2 for that. So haven't yet gotten onto that 13 episode binge yet, but that's very good. And I think that's about it. Oh yeah, the Joel McHale show with Joel McHale, still great. It's really, really, really good. Oh man, Eric Bana, you're rather funny. So that's gonna do it for the Watch 4. But Wes, speaking of a sport where the solution should just be, why don't you just take a gun to the ring? Let's get so raw.
I mean, really, we haven't brought.
It's like, you have this chair, I have a gun.
There used to be a team called the Smoking Guns that would come out, but their whole deal was that the Smoking? I think it's the Smoking Guns. No, there was an older team. I think they were the Southern Boys back then. They would come out, but they had like percussion caps on some revolvers,
Oh.
Kind of like the Texas oil millionaire on The Simpsons. But that was all just part of their kind of and everybody would get excited. Oh, I miss the NWA Southern days. All right, folks, we're back this week. Yeah, I was devastated last week not to be able to give you guys anything. I'm very sorry about that. I'm going to hit the main point this week. We did have the Fastlane pay-per-view on Sunday night. Some things that came from that. One, after Charlotte successfully defended her women's championship, all of a sudden the music of Asuka hit. Asuka. And Asuka made her way to the ring in her typically dramatic fashion. Mm-hmm. And she said she had made her. Of course, she won the women's inaugural. She made her decision, and she wants to face Flair Wrestlemania for the SmackDown Women's title. And of course, my female on the roster is the ultra gorgeous, ultra talented, magnificent Alexa Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it. Hold on.
That's so nice. Just ask me what you'd like me to do, and I'll try my best.
Shut up.
Really should get Amazon to be a sponsor of this podcast.
You're not kidding, dude. They get.
Oh, man.
But when it comes to the Charlotte Flair is the best in the business. She comes from good stock. We'll put it that way. Her father, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, arguably the greatest wrestler of all time. And she is she's dominant, man. I mean, 5'11", is built like this just perfect female athlete. And she just does things that other people can't. And for her and Asuka to hook WrestleMania, that's as close to a dream match as right now on the side. And I hadn't even really thought about it. Who she was, right? So I was pleasantly surprised and very happy to see that she came out and she's going to be taking on Charlotte Flair. So, I mean, that's automatically, there's a way, a chance to steal WrestleMania. It's going to be that good. It should be absolutely fantastic. So, really looking forward to that. Also on that, Randy Orton able to Bobby Championship. It was the only title that Randy Orton had not won in his, I believe, 15 years in the United States Championship. So I guess that's cool. Yeah, he can kind of add that to his list. So good for Randy Orton. We go toward WrestleMania. It looks like we for the U.S. title with Orton, Bobby Roode, and perhaps Jinder Mahal, which would be interesting. I mean, those would be three good workers. That'll be a good match, I think. In the tag team match, God, where's this going to go? The New Day was taken on, and this is when they had built back to these guys coming around again, and they were having one of the better matches that I've seen those two have over the years. I mean, it was a really, really, really good tag match. And before it could end, the Bludgeon Brothers. Gotta love that name, man. The Bludgeon Brothers. I think that's what Mourinho was thinking. They come out, they attack, gets thrown out at that point, and they proceeded to decimate all 5 members between the Usos and the New Day, including a double powerbomb on Woods on top of the steel steps, the steel ring steps. Woods was stretchered out after about 10 minutes.
Oh, good.
Everyone else had to be helped to the back by medical personnel. So there was a lot going on there. There was a lot going on, and I believe the Bludgeon Brothers obviously kind of threw their marker down, and they want a shot at those titles. But it was a really interesting way to end that match with those guys coming out. And Bludgeon Brothers, of course, it's hard. Members of the Wyatt family. I think they finally kind of found a good film. Big match of the night, the SmackDown Championship match for the chip. All right, let me see if I can. Okay, because they had quite a few bodies out there. We had the champion. We had Kevin Owens. We had Sami Zayn. We had Dolph Ziggler. We had John Cena. Was that it? Did we go 5? Oh, 6. Baron Corbin was out there. Baron Corbin, actually probably the best I've ever seen. He had a really good match. Basically, with that, the winner would be champion and would take on Nakamura at WrestleMania. I think they gave us reason to kind of think what might happen, but I also think at the end of the day that they were smart enough that they've been building this. They weren't going to fuck that up. Because I think if they had switched that title to anyone else in the match, I think you would have had a wholesale mutiny on your. Because Styles Nakamura is one of the most anticipated, obviously at WrestleMania, but maybe that WWE is 5 years. I mean, this is a major league match to fans worldwide, because I mean we've seen Nakamura and Styles before, and it's amazing.
Right.
So I think WWE was smart enough that we're not going to. So after what was actually surprisingly a good match, 6-pack challenge, Styles ends up retaining his title. He gets the win. So we are now set up AJ going forward. I'll go to SmackDown real quick just to continue what we were doing there. As far as the Bludgeon Brothers, they ended up taking on Big E and Jim. Apparently, we're the only two members well enough in that match to wrestle. Bludgeon Brothers beat them. I think what we're leading to is tag team triple threat match at WrestleMania. I think we're going to see the New Day, the Bludgeon Brothers, which could be that would be a really exciting match. I don't know how much I call it great match. It'll be really exciting. There's going to be people just getting dropped everywhere and a lot going on there, but that would be interesting. Nakamura and Styles are kind of having a deal with Sami Zayn, who also have their little thing going on with Shane McMahon still. But that's most definitely what we're going to get. Shane McMahon has announced that he's taking a leave of absence.
Oh no!
From the SmackDown brand. He has been having massive issues over the 5 months with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And apparently it's just gotten to be too much. So I believe we're going to see him back soon. But he did announce that I fight each other at WrestleMania. Ooh. So that's going to be great. I mean, that's a rivalry. God, that rivalry's 15 years old itself. They've been going. They've literally wrestled everywhere you can think of. So now to see them wrestle at WrestleMania. And then one big announcement: and this encompasses Raw and also NXT. The last, I believe, 3 years we've had the Andre the Giant battle. Jesus Christ, Battle Royal. On the men's side, Andre the Giant, of course, a legend in the game, and they've done this Battle Royal, giving out a trophy to the winner. Well, they're still doing that this year, but the year they are going to have a women's Battle Royal, and it will be the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal. Oh. Fabulous Moolah, one of the absolute legends, maybe the most legendary women's wrestler of all time. Spent a lot of her later years in the WWF. Wrestled a lot for Vince McMahon's father in the old territory days. And they are naming the Battle Royal after. So that'll be cool. And it's open. Now, I'm interested to see where this goes because it says it's open to women regardless of. So, okay, you know you're going to get the SmackDown girls. You know you're going to get the ones who aren't involved in the championship angles. You're going to get some NXT girls. I want to see also if they're going to fill this out, maybe some free agent type people. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe some that they're looking to bring in the company but haven't actually signed with the company yet. So, maybe some women from other organizations. I think that would be really cool. I don't know if they're going to go that route, but it just strikes me as something that could be really neat. But we'll see how that works, but it is another first here for the women. Moving over onto Raw. Like I said, I had some DVR issues for some reason this week. I don't know if it was the weather or what. But now with Asuka going against Charlotte, Miss Bliss, damn thing, she was caught on an open mic. Her and Mickey saying some very disparaging things about Alexa's best friend, Nia Jax. And Nia Jax happened to hear all of this and went back there in a rage looking for Miss Bliss, didn't get her hands on her. But I think that is the natural progression to the women's title match, Raw title match. I think that's a natural progression to go to WrestleMania. Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss. Good, it didn't hear me that time. I think that's the natural progression where we're going to go for the title match. So I believe that's where we'll go on the women's side. On the men's side, they were having a tag team battle royal to determine who would take on the Bar at WrestleMania. And in typical Raw fashion, they had 5 tag teams out there, and then Braun Strowman came out and won it by.
Oops.
So we were left with the question, open-ended question: what does this mean? Does this mean Braun Strowman?
Yes.
Or maybe we bring in, or maybe he gets a partner. I don't know, because Braun doesn't play well with others. So we will definitely have to see what happens there going forward. There's another wrench. It looks like we're going to have an Intercontinental triple threat. Looks like it's going to be Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and The Miz, which I am big time thrilled for. That's going to be, and also the promos leading up to that are super good, because you got The Miz, who's the best bad guy in the business. You've got Rollins, you've got Balor, who's super over with the fans. So that's going to be a really hot match at WrestleMania. Really hot match. The last two we're going to talk about on the title scene, Roman Reigns this week was very angry that he was supposed to come out and talk to him in the ring. Vince McMahon did not. Another week, Brock Lesnar did not show up. So Roman Reigns kind of took things into his own hands, confronted Vince McMahon, and was summarily suspended.
Oh.
Vince McMahon. And said next week Brock Lesnar will be there to answer some things. And let's through this one. WWE is doing everything in their power to see that, to try to make sure that Roman Reigns. And I'm not going to lie to you, his promos the last few weeks, suddenly for Reigns, because he was being real and he was being much more of a badass. And he was just like speaking from the heart and things that were bothering him. And that's where they're going with this. They're trying to turn sentiment against Brock Lesnar about the fact that, this is a guy who doesn't care about WWE. He shows up 3 or 4 times a year. He gets a paycheck. He gets all these special treatment perks. And why would you pull for that guy? Kind of where they're going. Now they brought Vince McMahon in to spin Roman Reigns. We'll see what happens. I'm not the biggest fan of the suspending him, because suddenly now it looks much more, it's a work than a shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And the first few weeks it looked really much more shoot-like, because it sounded like Reigns was really going, I don't like this guy, and I don't like the way he does shit. Now you bring in Vince McMahon and it's like, now he's suspended. Okay, yeah. We've seen this before. Anyway, that now sounds like, from some things, maybe main event at WrestleMania, which I'm not particularly thrilled about, is Triple H and Stephanie McMahon taking on Kurt Angle. Okay, I mean, good, fine match. I mean, Rousey obviously huge drawing card. We understand that. I'm not a big fan of it going on last. Mixed tag. Basically what you're going to see a lot. You're not going to see much Rousey and Stephanie McMahon, because what's believable about that? Ronda Rousey getting her hands on Stephanie McMahon, she's going to murder. But you know what? WWE's going to do what they do. And that's that. That's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be interesting. But, I mean, what we are seeing with Kurt Angle now, Stephanie McMahon, I think you're going to see after WrestleMania, I think you're going to see a change in that position. With the, quote, commissioner of Raw being Kurt Angle, because now he's completely gone. So, why would you leave that person in charge if they obviously are against you?
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see what happens. But, so Raw, I mean, there were some, and we are officially WrestleMania. It's coming. God, it's April 1st.
Yeah.
So we're only about 3 weeks away from WrestleMania. I had to think about that for a second. Damn, only 2 weeks, maybe. Jesus. Yeah, it snuck up on us. The Fastlane pay-per-view really kind of snuck up on us.
Yeah, it's Fastlane. Comes fast.
You're not kidding. Yeah, we're actually 2 weeks away from the.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
It's crazy. It's crazy, man. Banana issues. Well,
No. Take that back. WrestleMania is April the 8th.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, we're still a good 3 weeks away.
Well, 3 weeks, and we have plenty of time to preview what's going to be coming there, and a lot of big new stuff coming up there, that's for sure. That is going to do it for the end of this podcast. Episode 201 is now in the books. One more time, I want to thank NGSC Sports and NGSCSports.com. We never stop. You can find them on Twitter. You can also find us on Twitter as a collective at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, the All New Sports Show. You can also email us at that address, allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Also want to thank one more time our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, the Google Play Music Store, and iTunes Music. Thanks, you guys, for that. So we'll be back next week with episode 202. It will be a segmented week. We will be breaking out, and we'll be doing all that good stuff. We'll be breaking down the FA Cup this weekend, the few Premier League matches we have to talk about, Anfield Corner, and a little bit of So Raw as well. But before we get out of here for this one, Wes, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just a little something cool to add. You mentioning, of course, our on our All New Sports Show page for a lot of our local athletes, and we've got 2 this year especially who are getting a lot of recruiting love from some national programs. Mm-hmm. And we've had 1 commitment.
Yay!
Zonovan Bam Knight heading to Duke. Had some big offers and decided to choose. And not to say Duke's not a big offer, but somewhere where he's probably going to be able to. Mm-hmm. So big time there, and very good friend of the show, Ed. Probably our biggest fan.
Yeah.
Linwood Battle, his son Shaheem, 15 offers now. And I don't think they're going to be stopping anytime soon. I can see him definitely coming. But Shaheem he's got some big ones, man. Sitting on Clemson, Ohio State, Tennessee. Great job by that young man who, hey, you remember at his Linwood, don't lie.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, we kind of made him. Really,
we did help.
I mean,
we definitely helped.
We did our job.
Also, I saw a little online interview with Sherrod Green the other day, and I said, "Sure does sound polished on these interviews." Wonder where he got that from.
Talking when he's the player of the game for his kicking efforts on a cold night in Wilson. I think that's where he learned poise. Really,
mostly from sparring and playing mind games with me.
Oh, the mind games never stop here, but this episode is about to. So for McCall and Crime, Wes Bradshaw, I'm Edward Green. Thank you so much for joining us here, guys. And as always, stay safe, especially you 14-year-old girls next to Jamie Carragher, and enjoy the football.
Love you guys. Good night, Manchester, especially the red half. Have a good sleep.
Hope those Alexis Sanchez dogs don't play.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCSports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.